The movie begins with the introduction of a man named Sapala, set in the early 1900s. During this era, it was common to travel on sleds, which were used to transport goods from one place to another. Special breeds of dogs were used for this purpose. Sapala was a sled rider who owned a fine breed of dogs. These dogs made travel and tasks easier. One day, a puppy was born, a Siberian husky. These dogs were typically considered weak, and Sapala thought this puppy was useless. He believed it couldn't be taken on sled rides with the other dogs. He wanted to give the puppy away, but his wife disagreed. She treated all the dogs like her children. She named the puppy Togo and said, "I love it like my kids. They are dear to my heart, and I don't want to be separated from them. We should give Togo a chance. It is still young. We shouldn't make any hasty conclusions about it." Although Sapala didn't agree, he eventually conceded to his wife's wishes. As Togo grew older, it became quite mischievous, much to Sapala's annoyance. His wife constantly urged him to take Togo on sled rides. He argued that Togo was too weak to survive such trips. Sapala gave Togo to a friend, but his wife knew no one would keep the dog because of its naughtiness. As expected, the next day his friend returned Togo, saying, "This dog is too naughty, I can't keep it." His wife smiled because Togo was indeed mischievous. Whenever Sapala took his dogs on a ride, Togo would follow. Even when tied to a fence, Togo would dig its way out and run after Sapala, enjoying the company of the other dogs. This disrupted Sapala's training sessions. One day, Togo fell into the water, and Sapala, fed up with its antics, locked it in a room. However, Togo managed to escape. Sapala then convinced a female friend to keep Togo, but she was strict and insisted that Togo stay in the room. Sapala had no objections and left Togo there. Shortly after, Togo broke the window and escaped, returning to Sapala. Worried, Sapala noticed that Togo's paws were injured and bleeding, so he placed Togo on the sled to take it home. Togo didn't want to sit on the sled and preferred to run with the other dogs. After several attempts to make Togo sit, Sapala tied it with the other dogs. As they traveled, he noticed that Togo was energetic and ran faster than the other dogs, so he placed Togo at the front. Togo led them home quickly, and Sapala was both happy and surprised by Togo's speed. He told his wife about Togo's impressive performance, calling it a lead dog. His wife was also delighted. With Togo's help, Sapala won many sled races, and they gradually became famous. 12 years passed, and Togo grew older. One day, Togo returned to its city and discovered that a disease called diphtheria was spreading, affecting the children. The children were losing their lives to the disease, and everyone was worried. The mayor called a meeting, and Sapala attended. He informed them that there was an antidote for the disease, but it was 600 kilometers away in Nevada. However, a huge storm was approaching, making the journey dangerous. The mayor asked Sapala about the weather, and he replied, "When I was returning, the dogs were panicked by the weather." Togo was also panicked, which hasn't happened in many years. We should be concerned if Togo is concerned. Later he leaves, and when he comes out, a doctor asks for a lift. Sapala drops him at the hospital on his sled. Sapala sees many sick children in the hospital, and their lives will be in danger if they don't get the medicine. Sapala gets lost in his thoughts and tells his wife that when he gets home, he will go to get the medicine. He says he will take Togo with him, but his wife reminds him that Togo is now 12 years old and not as strong as before. The weather is also bad, and she doesn't want him to be responsible for Togo's death. She says, "Then you will spend your entire life regretting that Togo died because of your actions." Sapala doesn't want to go without Togo, so he leaves with Togo, saying goodbye to his wife. As Sapala moves with his dogs, the storm also advances. The wind is so strong that Sapala can barely see anything. Togo is in front, and Sapala urges his dogs to move forward. They need to return quickly with a medicine from Nevada. While on a steep slope, Togo suddenly stops. Sapala is confused, but then realizes there is a huge ditch ahead. Togo had sensed the danger even in the storm and stopped, saving Sapala and the other dogs. Meanwhile, Sapala notices that Togo's foot is injured and bleeding. After traveling the whole day, Sapala and his dogs reach an outpost. A lady doctor at the outpost tells Sapala that Togo is now 12 years old and has become weak. This long journey isn't good for Togo, but Sapala and his lead dog Togo continue forward. The condition of the children in the hospital worsens, and Sapala keeps moving with his dogs. He takes shortcuts to reach his destination sooner. He encounters a terrible frozen lake, with a storm approaching from the other side. Sapala doesn't get scared and asks his dogs to move forward on the frozen lake, which cracks under their steps. The dogs move forward and somehow cross the lake. After traveling the whole day, they reach a checkpoint and rest there. Sapala's wife goes to the mayor and informs him that the medication has been sent from Nevada and Sapala will get it on his way. She mentions that he is taking shortcuts, and his journey will be longer if he doesn't get the medication soon. Sapala is shown reaching a checkpoint after traveling for a whole day. Togo's condition is worse, but it still wants to move forward and lead. Sapala continues on his shortcut, knowing that if he doesn't find the man bringing the medicine from Nevada, his journey will become difficult. Sapala gets tired, and his eyes start closing, but his dogs keep moving forward like lightning. A man from Nevada, carrying the medicine, comes to a halt, but Sapala continues to forge ahead with his dogs. The man calls out to him, but Sapala, lost in thought and battling the strong wind, doesn't hear him. However, Togo hears something, and the man thinks Sapala didn't hear him and moves forward. The man sees Sapala returning because Togo has stopped, and Sapala now has the medicine he came for. They stop at a checkpoint, and a friend asks Sapala to leave Togo there. "I have lost many dogs in these terrible storms. I don't want you to lose your beloved dog Togo," the friend says. But Sapala refuses, saying, "Togo is my lead dog, and I can't travel without it." Sapala starts traveling again with his dogs. The lake they crossed yesterday appears in front of them once more. Now the lake was moving, but if they didn't cross it, their journey would be extended by another day. Sapala decided to move forward and asked his dog Togo to lead the way. The dogs crossed the lake quickly, but water began to rise, threatening to drown them. Thanks to Togo's speed and the other dogs, they somehow reached the shore. The ice piece they were on moved and separated from the shore. Sapala threw Togo to the shore and asked it to pull the ice piece. Despite being injured, Togo used all its strength to pull them to safety, and they finally emerged from the frozen lake. They were trapped, but Sapala miraculously saved his dogs and transported them to a checkpoint. The lady doctor there saw Togo and her eyes filled with tears. She told Sapala that Togo was dying and in terrible condition. This upset Sapala, as he loved Togo dearly. After spending the night, Sapala started his journey again, tying Togo behind the sled. Togo was sick and couldn't travel, but it stood its ground, showing Sapala that it didn't want to rest. It wanted to finish the journey. Sapala tied Togo in front, and they resumed their journey. After a few hours, the storm became so severe that Sapala couldn't see anything. He approached Togo and said, "I can't see further. Now you have to show us the way and take us to the next post." Sapala covered his face, and Togo led them forward. After some distance, Togo became exhausted and sat down. Sapala encouraged it, saying they needed to move forward to deliver the medicine. Togo wasn't responding, and Sapala was worried. Then, a man appeared with a lantern, indicating that Togo had led them to the checkpoint. Sapala was relieved and happy to see this. Everyone was saved because of Togo. They went inside, as Togo's condition was worsening. A man sent by Sapala's wife took the medicine to the outpost, intending to return quickly to the sick children. They rested for the night, and the man left in the morning with the medicine. After a short time, he reached the city of Nome, where a reporter was waiting. News had spread in New York about a man undertaking a long journey to bring medicine. The reporter thought the man had returned with his team and printed his name in the news, excluding Sapala. Sapala's wife was disappointed, but Togo was recovering. Sapala and his dogs eventually reached Nome. Many people came to thank Sapala and his dogs. The children who had recovered because of Sapala also came. A girl asked, seeing Togo, "Is it dying?" Sapala left his house upon hearing this, followed by his wife. He told her, "Togo is in this condition because of me." He regretted taking Togo on the journey, considering its age. His wife asked, "Is there anyone except Togo who could have done this?" Sapala remained silent, knowing that only Togo could have accomplished it. The next morning, Sapala was shown practicing with his dogs again. Seeing this, Togo also wanted to join the other dogs and didn't want to stay at home. Sapala understood that Togo didn't want to pull sleds but wanted to spend time with him. After some time, Togo recovered and went on long journeys with Sapala and his wife. Togo had puppies after 2 years, and many mushers came to buy them. The breed of those puppies was given a new name, Sapala Siberian. Later, Togo died in 1929, but Sapala continued to train dogs. Togo was a famous dog in his city. This was Togo's story. In this tale, Togo exemplified that dogs are the most loyal creatures on the planet. Here, the movie ends.